Hey designers, in this tutorial we are going to create a 3D movement. It's going to be a very beginner-friendly and super easy tutorial so that you can follow along without any difficulty. Let's get started. First, I'll begin by creating a new composition. After that, we need to import the necessary files. If you want to use the same files, I'll be providing a download link in the description. Once the files are imported, let's drag and drop them all onto the timeline. Now let's adjust the positions of each of them. Place one on the left side, another on the right side, and the third one in the center. After positioning them properly, let's go ahead and create a new camera layer. Set the camera preset to 15 millimeters and press OK. Now, we need to make all of these layers 3D. After that, change the view layout from one view to two views. In the new layout, set the left side view to active camera and the right side view to top. You can change the view by clicking on the screen and identifying the selected panel by the blue border around it. Before doing anything else, let's rename them so that we can easily identify each one. Rename the image on the left side as 1, the center image as 2, and the one on the right side as 3. Now we will change the Z positions of the images to give them some depth and move them further away from each other in 3D space. Change the Z position of each image one by one. Once you're done, the image on the right should be placed at the top, the image in the center should be in the middle, and the image on the left should be at the bottom. After you've finished adjusting the Z positions, press the S key to bring up the scale property and scale each image individually so that they fit properly on the screen. If needed, you can also adjust the X position to align the images back to the original layout you had before moving them in 3D space. Do this for all three images. Once the scaling and position of the layers have been adjusted, let's animate them. To animate them, right-click on the Camera 1 layer, go to Camera, and choose Create Orbital. We're going to animate them using the Orbit Null. Select the Selection tool, press P for position, and at the first frame, adjust the Z position. Also change the X position. Adjust it so that the first image appears on the screen and nothing else is visible at that point. Make sure it's positioned properly. Once you've done that, move the timeline indicator to the 1-second mark and click on the stopwatch next to position to create a keyframe. Then move the timeline indicator back to the first frame, change the Z position by moving it upward, and adjust the X position to the left side, so that the video starts with a blank screen and then the image slides in from the right side. Select both keyframes, press F9 to ease them. Go to the graph editor and adjust the graph like this. OK, after adjusting the graph, go back and adjust the image if needed. Then let's preview the animation. Once you're happy with the result, move the timeline indicator to the 2-second frame. Now change the X position of the camera and also the Z position so that the second image appears on the screen. You can see here that if needed, we're going to adjust the Z position of the image itself as well. Preview the animation. Okay, perfect. Now move the timeline indicator to the 3-second frame and change the Z position of the camera again. Also adjust the X position so that the third image comes onto the screen. Once it's adjusted, if needed, you can also change the position of the image itself. If it's too fast, select all the keyframes, and while holding Alt on the keyboard, click on the last keyframe and drag it to the 10-second frame to slow it down. Now it's time to add text. Move the timeline indicator to the point where the Isaac Newton image appears on the screen. Use the text tool to write Isaac Newton. Adjust the text position as needed. Don't forget to make the text layer 3D as well. To place the text layer exactly at the center of the composition, press Ctrl plus Home on your keyboard. This will automatically center the anchor point and position the layer in the middle. Adjust the X position to get it exactly where you want. Now go to the Effects and Presets panel and search for the Fade Upwards effect. Apply this effect to the text layer. Finally, press the U key on the keyboard to view the keyframes that come with the effect. Adjust the text, and let's figure out the exact points where the text should appear and disappear. To do that, preview the animation, and based on how the text looks in motion, decide when it should come in and when it should go out. Once you reach the point where you want the text to move out of the screen, place the timeline indicator at that moment and press Alt plus right square bracket to trim the text layer at that point. After the first text has been placed. Now to add the second text, take the text tool and make sure that the timeline indicator is on the frame where you want the text to appear. Right, so we're going to add the text here. Adjust the text size and also adjust the text position. Let's make this layer 3D. Press Ctrl plus Home on the keyboard to bring this text layer to the center at this frame. Now change the position of this text layer to where you want it to appear. Adjust the text at the point where you want it. Okay, now go to Effects and Presets. Search for the effect called Fade Upwards and apply it to this text layer. Now let's see. Press U to reveal the keyframes. Also, at the point where the screen is moving and the third image is coming onto the screen, move the timeline indicator to that point and press Alt plus right bracket to trim this text layer at that position. Now take the text tool and write your third text, because the third image has appeared on the screen. Write your text. After that, adjust its position. Make this text layer 3D as well, and press Ctrl plus Home to make it come to the center at this keyframe. Now adjust its position to wherever you want it to be placed. Now go to Effects and Presets, search for Fade Upwards, and apply it to this text layer. Press U to see the keyframes and watch the animation. Okay, the second keyframe will be the point where the position of the keyframe should match the actual position you want the text to appear in. The real position of the keyframe, meaning where you want the text to fully appear, should be set at the second keyframe. So, adjust it at that point. It might start from another position because the camera is moving, but you need to make sure that the second keyframe is the one where the text is placed exactly where you want it. So, adjust it accordingly at the second keyframe. And now let's preview the animation. If needed, adjust the distance between the keyframes. Once that's done, you need to decide at what point you want this layer to be trimmed. Move the timeline indicator to that point and press Alt plus right square bracket. Now preview the whole animation. Okay, let's trim this first text, Isaac Newton, from the start as well. So, select this layer and press Alt plus left square bracket to trim it from the start. Okay, so we do not want it to move out of the screen immediately. We want it to gradually move out. So, press U to see the keyframes. First, move the second keyframe closer to the first one so the animation becomes a bit faster. First of all, do any adjustments to the text layer that you think are needed here. Preview the animation so you can see that the text is visually placed perfectly where it should be. Then, to make it move out of the screen, we're going to apply an opacity animation. So, select this layer and press T for opacity. Click on the stopwatch next to opacity, make the layer a bit longer if needed. Then move the timeline indicator to the end of this layer and set the opacity to 0. Adjust the keyframes of the opacity so that it looks good. Perfect. Now, similarly, select the second text layer, Albert Einstein. Press T for opacity, click on the stopwatch next to opacity, and make this layer a bit longer. Then, move the bar indicator a few frames backward and set the opacity to 100%. Then move the bar indicator to the second keyframe of the opacity animation and set the opacity to 0. Now, let's preview it to see if everything looks fine. If it is looking fine, let's move on and do the same step with the third text layer. Select this Galileo text layer, make it a bit longer, press T for opacity, click on the stopwatch next to opacity, and set the opacity to 0%. Then, move the bar indicator a few frames backward and set the opacity to 100%. And let's see the whole animation. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please like it, comment on it, and do not forget to subscribe to Ace Designs for more content like this.